Man must assume responsibility for the power he has created, for the consequences our action affects not only today, but also an uncertainly existing future. This sentence encapsulates the depth of magnitude of our ethical obligation toward the future. But do we truly owe anything to those yet unborn? To what extent do the choices we make today lay claim over the lives of tomorrow's people? In this video, we will explain this question through various philosophical, scientific, and ethical perspectives. Our aim is not just to reflect, but to guide you in forming your own view. How do the choices we make today affect the people who will be born tomorrow? These questions have existed throughout human history, but perhaps have never been as crucial as they are in today's complex world. The climate crisis, technological advances, and societal transformations all compel us to question our responsibilities towards the future. As Hans Jonas writes in, even if the future is uncertain and inaccessible, our ethical responsibilities must be directed towards it.
What is responsibility towards the future? The concept of responsibility towards the future is one of the most complex and profound issues in philosophy. The question of how much we, the living, owe to those not yet born and how we should act has been a cornerstone of ethical debates throughout human history. As Parfit poses in Reasons and Persons, do today's decisions attribute value to people who do not yet exist? According to Parfit, our responsibility towards future generations is not merely a moral choice, but a necessary bond rooted in our very existence. Yet, boundaries and the content of the bond remain among the most delicate points of philosophical discourse. Actions taken and not taken. For the future, real-life examples, responsibility towards the future isn't just a matter for philosophical texts. It is also a practical issue that can be discussed through decisions made today sometimes becomes ethical trumps that protect future generations and sometimes lead to irreparable harm. Two examples we will explore summarize our impact on the future. One is positive and one is negative. The negative example, the nuclear legacy of the 20th century. Nuclear weapons testing and energy projects during the Cold War were driven by political strategy, yet their long-term consequences have caused environmental and health problems that directly affects future generations. Particularly in Pacific test sites, the radioactive legacy passed down to unborn generations, our responsibility towards the future can be neglected. Positive examples, the Montreal Protocol for ozone layer. Signed in 1987, the Montreal Protocol was harmful to the ozone layer. This conscious decision slowed ozone depletion and, according to scientists, would allow significantly recover of the ozone layer by the end of the 21st century. This agreement, which protects the health of billions yet unborn, demonstrates that a sense of responsibility towards nature can be effectively translated into action. These examples shows how ethical responsibilities for the future, when embedded at center of decision-making, can yield tangible outcomes. Whether we are truly on the right track is up for debate, but focusing on the goals rather than the methods is sufficient for grasping the core of this issue, the evaluation of ethical thoughts about the future. The idea of responsibility towards nature has existed in Western philosophy. Western philosophy since antiquity thought in very form in ancient Greece. The concept was closely tied to the nature and cosmic order. The Stoics argued that the universe is a whole and that humans must align themselves with that whole. In this context, responsibility towards the future was seen as preserving universal harmony. Thought a clear notion of individuals' responsibility was lacking. In modern times, human-centered ethical perspectives deepened the concept. Judith Schicker's Justice and Responsibility considers future responsibility in both individuals and social contexts. According to her, true justice must account for the rights of tomorrow's people, not just today's. The sustainability policies and pursuit of social justice in modern societies are practical reflection of this philosophical stance. Over time, the transformation of this idea, a more concrete and far-reaching ethical imperative, reflects humanity's growing awareness of the future. Philosophical approaches. thinkers on responsibility towards the future. In philosophical literature, responsibility towards future generations has been addressed from multiple angles by various thinkers. Parfit is a pioneering figure in this area, drawing attention to the moral structure of time. For him, responsibility towards the future is not just an abstract concept, but a concrete reality. Today's choices directly shape the lives of people who do not yet exist. Parfit's idea of temporary disconnect opens up a discussions about the limits of our responsibility towards the future, but does not eliminate that responsibility. It only requires us to reshape how we understand it. Hans Jones, the imperative of responsibility, argues that the rise of technological power increases our ethical dignity. The uncertain risk brought about the technological advantages demands more cautious and conscious decisions. In this sense, responsibility towards the future becomes not just an abstract moral rule but a vital necessity. Judith Schicker, on the other hand, evaluates justice within a framework of both societal and individual responsibility. She maintains that protecting the rights of the future generation is a fundamental requirement of justice in contemporary societies. In this way, the moral link between today and tomorrow is seen as inseparable from a very essence of justice, modern science, and responsibility towards the future. Scientific developments offers ethical data to support the concept of responsibility towards the future. Research, neuroscience, and psychology reveals how humans perceive the future and the limitations of our capacity for empathy. Our brains tend to focus on the present and near future, which can weaken our sense of responsibility towards distant future individuals. Therefore, developing an ethical awareness consciously becomes essential. Tangible issues like climate change and environmental degradation dramatically illustrates the impact of individual and societal decisions on the future. Scientific warning shows that our ethical responsibilities is not just a philosophical issue, but a vital matter for the survival of the planet and life itself. These contemporary challenges prove that responsibility towards the future is not only ethical, but also scientific and practical in nature. Ethical and political debates. The individual, society, and the future in today's world, responsibility towards the future exist in delicate balance between individual freedoms and collective obligations. Some argue that personal liberty must take precedence, while others stress that the interest of society and future generations cannot be ignored. This tension is practically evident in areas such as global warming, resource depletion, and social justice. As Judith Schicker points out, ensuring justice is the key to maintaining this balance, while global agreements and sustainability policies represent steps toward institutionalizing this awareness. Significant practical and societal debates continue. These discussions emphasize that responsibility towards the future must be considered both individually and collectively. The role of technology and responsibility. The role of technology and responsibility towards the future. Technology today affects our sense of responsibility towards the future in two opposite ways. In one hand, innovations, renewable energy, green technologies, and healthcare hold the potential of improved future living conditions. On the other hand, fields such as artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and data security are rapidly pushing ethical boundaries. As Hans Jones emphasized, the greater our technological power becomes, the more our ethical responsibilities grows. Technology ethics has become an indispensable component of the future responsibility. The decision we make today will shape not only our present, but the experience of humanity decades or even centuries from now. Thus, cultivating ethical awareness in our use of technology is crucial of fulfilling our responsibility towards the future. Do we really owe the debt of the future? Finally, let's return to the central question. Do we truly owe a debt to the future generations? Philosophically, this is not a simple question. After all, people who do not yet exist cannot claim rights. However, eventual existence and potential rights should shape our behavior today. As Parfit notes, this temporal disconnect does not erase responsibility. It merely requires us to rethink what responsibility means. Here, ethical willpower consequences and empathy come into play. Responsibility is not merely external obligation, but an internalized moral awareness. The rights of future generations take from in the conscience and action of today's decision makers. In this sense, responsibility towards the future is a key indicator of humanity's moral maturity and cultural development. Conclusion: ethical awareness and the construction of the future. In summary, responsibilities towards nature is much more than an abstract philosophical idea. This is a vital ethical imperative that shapes our concrete life practice. Every step we take today profoundly impacts the lives of millions yet to be born. And Jonas' warning remains as relevant as ever. The existence of unknown risk increases our responsibility, not diminishes it. For this reason, adopting a conscious, responsible, and ethical attitude towards the future is not only a personal but a collective duty. The existence of unknown risk increases our responsibility, not diminishes it. For this reason, adopting a conscious, responsible, and ethical attitude towards the future is not only a personal, but a collective duty.